watch and wait. In the blink of an eye, we decide our fate. The ice is a battle where the iron reigns. We're breaking the surface and we're breaking chains. Brace for the impact. Cross the line. The neutral zone is roaring through the night. IE Sports Radio. Ice in our veins. And I'm Karnik and Freddie B. Holding the reins. We follow the hunt for the silver cup, where the minor league hungry are stepping up. The college ice is burning in the freeze, and the women of the league bringing giants to their knees. The juniors, the legends, the global stage. We're writing the story on a frozen page. The lamp lights up, red in the winter air. The speed and the power are waiting there. Drop the puck. Brace for the impact. Cross the line. The neutral zone is roaring through the night. IE Sports Radio. Ice in our veins. Adam Karnik and Freddie B. Holding the reins. The neutral zone.
And welcome into this special Sunday afternoon edition of the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam Karnik. He is Freddie B. So glad that you are here with us. We have got a ton lined up for you here on this special edition show, all going to be talking and previewing the Stanley Cup final as we finally have it. We've got it set. We know who the participants are going to be. They're going to drop the puck on Tuesday night in Carolina between the Hurricanes and the Golden Knights. Tons to go over in this one. Glad that you're here. Freddie, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Adam. Man, we were hoping that that series was going to end on Friday, which it did in dramatic, blowout fashion. Come on, jeez, because we both knew that this was going to happen, and I am happy to say that the series is going to be starting on Tuesday, and that's why we're doing this preview show here today on this Sunday and getting ready for things to come. I think it's going to be a really good Stanley Cup final. I know others don't seem very interested in this, especially the two teams that are playing, but myself as a hockey purist and fan of the sport, I think this is going to be a highly entertaining and series that can go pretty deep.
I think it's going to be an excellent series. I really do. I think, we'll get into this more into it, but styles make fights, and you've got some good things in this one. There's definitely reasons to be watching this and to be paying attention to this. Before we get any further, we do, of course, want to thank and acknowledge our sponsors here at the network, starting off with Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. The jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. I would encourage you to at least try the volcanic jalapeno. Very tasty. You will enjoy it. But whatever your palate is, they will have something there for you. Very good stuff. And also, Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. When you go to vitalapparel.com, use the promo code IESR at checkout. You get 15% off of your order there. And be sure to check us out. The entire network, IE Sports Radio, of course, available for you at iesportsradio.com, but also on Twitter and at YouTube at IE Sports Radio. You can also follow along with this show on Twitter. We are at IESR Neutral Zone. He is at Freddie B _sports. I am at Adam _Karnik. And we're going to see throughout the show, we've kind of opened the doors here at the network to see who might be stopping in to say hello and talk with us. But one person that we know for sure is here, friend and colleague of the show. He's been on previous seasons. He is a diehard Carolina Hurricanes fan. He is a Caniac. But he has also a very, very, very knowledgeable and great hockey fan. Matthew Owens of USRN. Matthew, how are you doing today, sir?
Knowledgeable hockey fan. That feels like a stretch.
I know. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that. We were going to have something else to start right off the show. But yes, absolutely, knowledgeable hockey fans. They exist.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for the great introduction, even though it might not all be true. But anyway, thank you. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you here. Now, when we talked during the week last week, I said, I know that, Matthew, you're not super, because behind the curtain, Freddie, I asked Matthew before the series was over. I asked him right away Wednesday night, and I labeled it right out of the gate of, now, Matthew, you're not a superstitious person. Do you want to come on and preview the Stanley Cup final with us when Carolina clinches this? So I'm glad, first of all, that I didn't jinx it. And second of all, thank you for being accommodating with your time. Really do appreciate it.
Yes, and what did I say? I said, the series is far from over, and no matter how it turns out, I will be happy to join.
And then sure enough, Friday, that had to be one of the. At what point Friday were you able to just kind of sit back and enjoy the game at that point? Because that got very out of hand very fast there on Friday night with the Hurricanes clinching.
Well, as you know, I have to think about so many things from a broadcast point of view, and I'm streaming these games on YouTube now. Come join us.
Okay.
So I can't call the game. I don't want to call the game and be biased, so I'm calling the game 50-50, not letting my fandom show. And you got the feeling. You really did get the feeling at 2-0. You're like, okay, next goal. If Montreal scores the next goal, there's some life there, maybe some anxiety in the crowd, anxiety with the Carolina team. But if Carolina makes it 3-0, they're probably steamrolling here. So they made it 2-0, and then they made it 3-0 in the blink of an eye. You still have to stay on your toes when you're calling the game because it is hockey. It's still fast. Game doesn't just end at 3-0. But at that point, I was thinking, it's probably not going very far beyond this. I don't get the sense that Montreal is getting into this game. Just try to hit my marks, not make any mistakes, not let my fandom come through on the air. And then afterwards, take the headset off and okay.
Enjoy that win.
Yeah,
enjoy that
right.
win.
There are no Florida Panthers to deal with.
Not this year.
Matthew, thank you for joining us. The start of the game was similar to that of like game 4 when they scored the 3 goals in that less than 3 minute span. They did the same thing. They struck, the goal early, Taylor Hall getting on the board, and then the 2 goals like Stankoven and Robinson, less than 2 minutes apart, just dagger that early in the game. I mean, Montreal went like 7 or 8 minutes in this game without a shot or with one shot on goal, and it was just the same song and dance that we had seen out of them. And I think that their gas tank was on empty coming into Game 5, and that was evident. Plus, Carolina just playing their game was stepped up a notch. It seemed like every game as the series went on that they were playing the style of hockey that we were accustomed to seeing. Obviously, Game 1, we had the debate, rest versus rust. It showed that quick early goal, but then, kind of snowpiled in favor of Montreal. Could have said, Freddie Anderson wasn't on top of his game. He was definitely on top of his game the remainder of this series, and he's still in contention, in my opinion, for winning the Conn Smythe if, Carolina goes on and wins this thing. But just give us your take on Game 5 and just how you saw that series play out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hockey, we all know hockey is such a weird, fantastic game because so I think you come away. So after Game 3, you come away with this thinking Carolina has outplayed Montreal the way a lot of people expected them to. But yet, after Game 3, Montreal could have been ahead 2-1, could have been ahead 3-0. But Game 4 felt like the first time. Okay, Carolina played their game in Games 2 and 3, but Game 4 felt like the first time they played their game and nothing kind of crazy happened, and Anderson was shutting everything down, and it was just one-way traffic. And yeah, Game 5 is basically a continuation of Game 4, just in a different arena. And again, Montreal had been talked about a lot. They'd played 7 games twice, coming in against a fresh Carolina team that just plays the game that just suffocates you. So yeah, you had the feeling as Game 5 carried on that they've got a lot of talent, but they don't have any gas left, and they just have no answers right now for Carolina. They're in their defensive zone for what feels like ages. The other thing too about Games 4 and 5, good Lord, each of them could have been like 8-0.
Absolutely.
Jakob Tobish just didn't play. Jakob Tobish had to play one of the best series of goalies ever played when his team lost by in 5 games. I mean, he kept it from being like silly.
It's been a joke, but it's been not one completely without merit that Jakob Dobish could be the first player to not play in the Stanley Cup final and win the Conn Smythe.
But it just shows too that, with the lack of shots on goal that Montreal was putting on, and these, Games 2 and 3 being close, overtime, that the saves that Anderson had to make were that much more magnified. Like one bad goal of their 12 shots, and Montreal could dictate that series. You're absolutely right. Adam and I also said coming into this series that Carolina's top guns needed to come and produce. Svechnikov and Aho, especially Jarvis, those guys, were kind of lacking the first 2 series of the playoffs up to that point. And sure enough, Games 4 and 5, we really saw that. Svechnikov, multiple goals, Aho getting on the scoreboard. But I'm really impressed in the veteran leadership that this team has with the guys like Taylor Hall and Eric, Stahl. I mean, what can you say about him? One of the best captains in all of hockey, in my opinion. He's led this team. And the defense at the same time, too, with Ghost and Keandre Miller, those dudes really stepping up their game. I'm a huge fan of Sean Walker. He played for the Kings. I'm a Kings fan. And I loved Sean Walker when he was with us. And, he does things defensively. He throws the body around. He's undersized, but he's still, and he's a good shot taker as well. Everything is finally gelling at just the right time. And the same could be said for the team that they're going to be meeting in the Stanley Cup final in the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, you're right. And, the conversation has been had this entire playoffs. Like you just said, the big guns, Aho and Svechnikov and Jarvis, they've got to produce more. It's been pretty it's pretty interesting because right now Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall are the big guns of this team right now, and Nikolai Ehlers and Jackson Blake and Eric Robinson. And on one hand, you can say, well, they do need more from Aho, Svechnikov, and Jarvis. On the other hand, you can say, when they eventually get stuff from those guys, what a luxury that they've already been getting, and hopefully for them will continue to get from Hall and Stankoven. Hall and Stankoven have been just ridiculous. I would have never expected this when Carolina got Taylor Hall. I would not have expected this level of play, especially at the time where it matters the most. And you're right about Freddie Anderson too. He did not face a lot of shots in this series, and that can be difficult, as we know, for a goaltender when you don't face a lot of shots. He shut down really all of the major chances Montreal had in this series after game one.
And that's the thing that Carolina does, is they eliminate those high danger opportunities. They keep the game, up against the boards. Like you said, they hem you in your defensive zone. It's almost like they're on a consistent power play, the way that they move and cycle the puck. And then by the time you finally get it out of your zone, you end up icing it, and then you just get possession right back to them. Now, Vegas, on the other hand, they're a team that creates those high danger chances. So I think this is going to be a good matchup between these two when it comes down to that. What can you say about the special teams of Carolina? Where are they at right now, and what can they get better at?
They get better at everything on the power play, because the power play is not good.
Right.
It was late in game 4. And I wasn't doing that game, and I was watching it, and I tweeted, that's got to be like the worst 5-on-3 in the history of organized hockey. Oh my God, they had a 5-on-3, and it was just awful, and they refused to shoot the puck. It's amazing. They could get 50 shots on goal a game, but they won't shoot it all in the power play. In all seriousness, the power play does need to get better against Vegas. There's no doubt. Vegas is a really good 5-on-5 team. Carolina was perhaps the best 5-on-5 team this season there with Colorado. Power play is going to go a long way in determining the final, obviously. So Carolina definitely has to get better at that. Their penalty kill, though, has been great. I think they've still only allowed two power play goals. Yeah, 2 power play goals.
Yeah, like 92% on the kill.
Yeah, so I think special teams does go a long way in determining the series, but Carolina does. That is the area they have to be better at in this series. I mean, they're 12-1 in the playoffs, but they have to be better on the power play.
Somebody else that wasn't expecting Taylor Hall to be this good either was the Blackhawks when they traded him to Carolina. So you're very welcome for that. With Carolina, is there anything to be said about, did they have too easy of a path into this final in your eyes? They took on a very tired Montreal, very young, inexperienced Montreal team to get to this point. Before that, they took out a Sabres team that, all of Buffalo was on fire during the playoffs, during it, living and dying with every second of the puck being there, and then the Carolina getting past the Senators in the first round and the Flyers in the second round, and then a very tired Montreal team in the Eastern Conference Final. Is there anything in your mind that is, this was too easy of a path? They've only played 13 games.
I suppose so. I think that goes so much into the conversation, though, of how well rested they were for the Montreal series. Now, again, that went against them in game 1, but then you could tell from there on they were just so much fresher than Montreal was. So perhaps that comes into play here. Vegas hasn't played a ton more games. They went 6 in the first 2 rounds, and then a sweep of Colorado in the conference final. But I don't know if that. I don't know. Depends on what you think, I guess, about the Knicks and the NBA. They've had a very easy run too to the NBA finals, so we'll see. If that comes to play in either one of these 2 series across the 2 sports.
Having an easy road, that's one of the most ridiculous comments that I hear that people make, because you played the regular season, you won, you were the Eastern Conference, you earned the spot that you got to play those teams that you played in the playoffs. Vegas, on the other hand, you know what? They earned it because they won the Pacific. The Pacific was terrible, but they won it, and they played Utah, a tough series against Anaheim, I think. And then I thought, I don't know what the hell happened to Colorado, but
the injury bug caught up to him is what happened.
Yeah, you could say that. But then Vegas is, they got guys back healthy. They got Stone back. They got Carlson back. Their defense is solid. And I mean, Carter Hart, playing on top of his head as well. I just throw that out the window when you say that they have an easy road. You still have to play the games, and you have to win the games. And regardless if you sweep a team or if you take them to 7, it doesn't matter to me. And I think you just got to do your job and just win. That's all I care about, is just winning the game.
To that point, is it a super easy road that Carolina's had, or did they make it look easy? Because we know Ottawa and Philadelphia were 2 extremely physical teams. So, I mean, they took their bumps and bruises in that series, even though they were very quick.
Adam, I think you and I both kind of had, if there was going to be any kind of an upset in the first round, we both thought maybe Ottawa would be the team that would upset anybody in a first round matchup. I mean, they played a tough series. They had a couple of games that were close, 1-goal games, overtime games. And then that Philadelphia series, Philly come out and, with that 2-goal lead, and they could have made a series out of that. And then Carolina came back and won that game 3-2 in overtime. But combination of the teams that they play. And then you could make that argument, should the NHL change the playoff format and stuff like that? But
yes, they should.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they change the playoff format. I think you got to go to a 3-2-1 point system as well. But that's just me. But yeah, I think Carolina earned it. And what can you say about the job that Rod Brind'Amour has done? He's had so much scrutinization, not getting over the hump. And finally, this team of guys that he has, I think it's the best team that he's ever coached for the Hurricanes. They're doing it. And I think, they're 4 wins away now from winning the Stanley Cup again.
I have to say about Rod Brind'Amour, and as Adam said, I do have a long history of being a Hurricanes fan here in the state. Hurricane fans these last few years, it's so funny how fans work. Because good Lord, for how many years was Carolina in just the basement and not even close to getting into the playoffs? And then when Rod comes in, they get them to the playoffs, into the Eastern Conference Final his first year. And ever since, they've been knocking on the door. But after these past couple of years, losing to the Rangers, losing to the Panthers, Rod's got to go. He just won't adjust. I'm thinking, what in the wide world of sports are you talking about? You cannot possibly be saying you want Rod Brind'Amour gone. And, I mean, here we are this year, still the same team, still the hardworking, physical, opportunistic team that they've been this entire run under Rod for 8 seasons now. And just sometimes it takes a little puck luck. And, again, were they ever really close to beating Florida in those 2 conference finals? No, but they played a lot of close games and overtime games that they could have won. But when you look back on them, you see sweep and losing in 5. And it's like, well, they can't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it just all lined up. There's no Igor Shesterkin. There's no there was Andrei Vasilevsky. They just didn't have to play him. No Shesterkin. Didn't have to run into Vasilevsky. No Bobrovsky. No Florida. Sometimes it just lines up, and it has for them so far this year.
Yeah, and it's also, it's not like they haven't been tested in these playoffs. Philly got up 2-0 very quickly in that game early in that series. They came back and won. They've won multiple overtime games, including against Montreal in the Eastern Conference Final. They had to win some overtime games. It's not like it's been 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 5-0 every single night. They have had to claw into some games, and they've figured out how to close out, how to finish. That's been, to me, a big difference, and that's where Brind'Amour really deserves some credit of helping these guys figure out here's how you close out a game. Here's how you close out a series. And that's going to be so vital for them against Vegas, because as Vegas has shown us throughout these playoffs, it doesn't matter if you're up 3-0 after 45 minutes, there's still 15 minutes. They'll figure out a way to do what they need to do to get back into this game. So Carolina learning how to close out opponents, that is going to be so vital and important for them going into this final.
Yeah, I would say the thing that I've noticed the biggest difference of this year too, and I think Rod has a lot to do with this, they've been so much more disciplined in this playoff run. Those series against the Rangers and the Panthers that I talked about, just a parade to the penalty box at times.
Mm-hmm.
So they've just been a lot more disciplined this year, still aggressive, but that doesn't mean you have to take someone's head off every time you get a chance. And I give a lot of credit to a couple of people that aren't going to get talked about enough. Keandre Miller and Alexander Nikishin, I think, have been great glue parts on the blue line. Keandre Miller was a great pickup. And Nikishin, he's still growing, obviously. What is he, 24? He's still growing. He's still learning. But I think those two are playing extremely well for two people that won't get talked about at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so much depth now with Carolina too. You know, we brought it up at the beginning. You know, Taylor Hall is leading the team in playoffs. Is it concerning at all with you, Matthew, that Sebastian Aho and company, that top line's not looking like top line, or is it, hey, cool, we're winning, we're scoring. I'm not worried about these guys. They'll jump into the fun when it's time.
I mean, yeah, that part I don't really think that I'm worried about that part as maybe a lot of other people are, just because, now again, if the goals start drying up for Hall and Stankoven and Robinson, then sure. But those two, Aho and Svechnikov particularly, they still set a great tone. They still lead the team. They set the tone 5-on-5. They set the tone on the power play, which again has to get a lot better. But no, I'm not concerned about them at all. Now, Seth Jarvis, on the other hand, at times he has looked hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how fully healthy he is. So we'll see about him. But no, I'm not overly concerned.
Excellent. Well, Carolina getting into this is just 13 games needed to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, 12-1. The best run we have seen from a team getting to this point since the 1983 Edmonton Oilers. Did not end well for that Edmonton team. Perhaps Carolina will make it work a little bit better this year. But now let's focus in on the team that will be on the other side. Flying in from the other side of the country, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Only 95 points in the regular season. Were they to go ahead and win the Stanley Cup, this would be the fewest regular season points we've seen in a full season from a champion in 13 years. The LA Kings did it with 95 points back in 2012. These two teams played each other. Vegas won both of them 10-4 combined between the two games. But both of those games were played back in October. That may as well have been last season, I feel like. Does this feel like you're seeing a brand new opponent basically at this point with Carolina heading into Vegas?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, they were both in October. John Tortorella wasn't the coach of Vegas. Teams are totally different. So, yeah, you throw that out. I mean, Carolina didn't beat Montreal in the regular season either.
Right.
So, yeah, you throw – I mean, I'll have it on my boards here what the numbers were in the regular season, but no promises that I mention that. But I'll have it on here. But, yeah, you throw all of that out, I think, because – one, it's a bet, and these cross-conference matchups too, especially early in the season, you really don't know the importance of it that's being given to the teams, the coaches, the players. I mean, obviously, I don't have their schedules right in front of me, but if Carolina came into any of those games, or Vegas came into any of those games with like Anaheim or Edmonton after for Vegas, or if Carolina had New Jersey or a Washington after, maybe they're not putting so much weight into those games. So yeah, you can't completely throw them away, but don't really pay attention to them at all on that.
Absolutely. So Vegas comes in. Mark Stone, Mitch Marner. Let's start there with Mitch Marner coming over from Toronto. He now gets to make it to the Stanley Cup final. I know that it's going to be a story on Media Day tomorrow that, oh, he turned down a trade to the Hurricanes. Hurricane fans aren't actually feeling that was a snub, right? That was, his wife was due to have a baby any day. I don't blame him for, no, I want to stay in Toronto. Thank you. Thank you for trying to put me with a winner, but I'm going to stay here in Toronto. So now this isn't a slight with Carolina fans, right? They're not looking at it that way, right?
No, I haven't heard any of that.
Okay.
I would also like to just add, could we have imagined Toronto had Mitch Marner's Vegas Golden Knights and the Montreal Canadiens been in the Stanley Cup final? What would they have done in Toronto?
Oh, they would have burned it down. They would have burned that city down at Montreal. And Montreal had won, right? You know what? They didn't land Marner, but they did land Ehlers. So that was a solid plan B for Carolina in the offseason. I'm worried about, if I'm Carolina, you got to shut down the guys like Jack Eichel who can just create plays. I mean, he's not putting pucks in the net, but he is dishing like no other right now in these playoffs. And Vegas is a team that can be streaky when it comes to goals. Pavel Dorofeev, that guy has no fear putting pucks on net. And this is where I like the matchup with Vegas's power play. It's high potent, and then you've got the really good PK of Carolina. Who's going to get the best of it? That's where I think this series really comes down into play. Is the special teams like we talked about. Also, I think Carolina's deeper as far as the roster goes with veteran players who have been playing in these playoff games throughout their careers and have won cups. But Vegas isn't that far removed from winning their first Stanley Cup. And this is already their third Cup final appearance in the first 9 years of their franchise existence, which is just stupid. But what worries me, though, if I was Carolina, is just how they're a little bit, they can be physical, they can be dirty at times, and Carolina just can't get caught up in the after whistle shenanigans. Don't be that second person in that's going to draw the penalty. And you said earlier, their discipline has been outstanding so far to this point, not getting involved in that kind of stuff. So Vegas does like to muck it up a little bit, and they do have that skill as well. They don't, they run, two good lines of offense. The third and fourth guys are bangers and grinders. Yeah, I mean, I think Carolina is a better team winning faceoffs as well. I think that's going to be a huge part of this thing. What is your take on that? And what is your take on, what does Vegas bring to the table? What kind of challenges do they present Carolina?
Well, they've got so much depth too. I mean, the depth on Dylan Coghlan, where did he come from in the series against Colorado? I mean, he's got a goal and 3 points in 4 games in that series. The goal, what turns out to be the game-winning goal in the series clincher, was scored by Cole Smith. So there is great depth here with this Vegas team, and I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see two very like-minded teams square off here. Vegas is going to try to beat Carolina at Carolina's game, and vice versa as well. Mm-hmm. You mentioned though, I do find interesting, the most interesting perhaps here, is Vegas just came out of a series where their main objective was to shut down Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Marty Necas, all the firepower of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they aim at in this series? You don't have a McKinnon. You don't have Makar, although he was hurt, which McKinnon was too. You don't have Necas. You don't have those crazy firepower, firecracker guys that you've got to aim to shut down. So who's their number one objective here, I think, is an interesting question.
Okay.
Yeah, who's going to be the primary? We have to shut this guy down with Carolina. That's where Carolina having all four of their lines rolling at this time is so key for them. Where I'm curious to see with Vegas, they've been doing so well at getting the puck in deep and getting to those high danger chances, those where it doesn't matter who's in goal, it's just not getting tied. I've got the NHL Edge stats up here. Vegas has 34 what they would consider high danger goals here in the postseason. Dorofeyev has got 10 of those. Howden's also got 10. Mitch Marner's got 5 of them. Mark Stone's got a few. So they do an excellent job of getting that puck in deep. Carolina's been so good with its forecheck and with its just constantly overwhelming you and tiring you out. Will they be able to do that against the size of Vegas on Carolina? Because obviously, in order to get the puck deep, you've got to get the puck. Carolina's been really good at not just not letting you get the puck, let alone getting it in deep. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in that. Vegas wants to get it deep. Carolina will try to keep you at the blue line. I think that'll be an easy way to see early in this series of kind of whose style is winning early.
Yeah, I think you're right about that because what was it? Game 3 of the East Final? Montreal had more icings than shots on goal because they were just that overwhelmed. Vegas won't be that overwhelmed. Vegas will not be overwhelmed by Carolina the way Montreal was. So Carolina now, yes, this is the to the point we were talking about earlier about this, easy path conversation. This is the best team they've played in the playoffs. It's the toughest team they've played, certainly the toughest since Ottawa. Physically tough, I mean. So yeah, and Freddie Anderson and Carter Hart, it's an interesting goaltending matchup. Which one makes not the most saves? Which one makes just the timely saves? Will come up huge in this series too. But to the point that we were making about the power play and special teams, Vegas's power play has been very good in the playoffs. What are they in the playoffs? 24%. That's double what Carolina's done.
They're basically 1 out of 4.
Yeah. And Carolina's at 12% right now. So it will be interesting to see, and it'll be pretty imperative too to see how the games are officiated. How much gets let go, because these are two teams that will take their chances.
Oh yeah, John Tortorella is not trying to play a speed and finesse game there in Vegas. And he's been there long enough at this point that he can implement some of his own stuff.
Vegas, like you're saying, Adam, Vegas is they're a heavy team. They are a heavy team. They are going to throw the body. When you got your third line of Stone and Hurdle and Colton Sissons, and they're going to throw their body around. And then you got guys on the fourth line like Colasar and Dowd. They have no problem throwing that body around. And I don't know how Carolina will react if they dictate the game physically that way. Can Carolina respond? Do they have that to respond to Vegas's physicality?
We'll find that out because, like I said, Philadelphia tried to be physical, really didn't work. Montreal's not really that team, but Ottawa was. Ottawa was the team that was trying to play Carolina's game against them. And that didn't work out well for them, but you would say that Vegas is more skilled than Ottawa in just about every way. So That's a good question that we'll find out. If Vegas can control the physicality portion of the series, how does Carolina react? I think that's a really good question. And again, too, Freddie Anderson has not faced many shots the entire playoffs. One would think he'll be facing more in this series. And I know there's always a lot of questions about Freddie Anderson. There's questions of his health, there's questions of his age, there's questions of, his high peaks and low valley games, and how consistent will he be in this series against the team that'll probably force the issue more than the other three they've seen have so far.
Yeah, with Freddie, you never feel like you're more than a game away from everything turning into a disaster right in front of your eyes. But to be fair, that was when we were previewing the playoffs. Freddie Anderson was the reason I predicted Ottawa to upset Carolina. I just didn't trust Freddie Anderson. On the flip side, he has won me over in these playoffs. He is right now. He'd be my Conn Smythe winner, and he has been since round one. I think if Carolina does win this, and we'll get to the predictions here before we close out the show, I think he still is your Conn Smythe winner for Carolina, unless somebody just absolutely goes off here in this series, where you see somebody just put up like 10 points in 4 games or something like that, because you just didn't expect this. He was the big question mark. And all right, yeah, he's only faced 25 shots total in games 3 and 4 there against Montreal. He might face that many in the first 2 periods of game 1 against Vegas, but he's shown enough that I have faith in him to get the job done in this series. Carter Hart has been impressive too, though. He's been, if Freddie Anderson's been the best goalie, Carter Hart's been the next best goalie in save percentage. So we really are getting a good matchup there between the pipes in this series.
Yeah, we are. But to the point that you made, and everybody has had trust issues with Carter Hart, with Freddie Anderson this year, last year, many years. They have trust issues with Freddie Anderson. But don't forget, we used to have trust issues with Carter Hart too, and he's settled that down. So see if Freddie has.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take for ourselves a quick little break, and then when we come back, let's give our predictions here on this series. We dropped the puck Tuesday night between Vegas and Carolina, and if you're watching live here across Twitter and YouTube, feel free to drop us a comment of your prediction. Who's going to win the series? How many games is it going to take? Who's going to win the Conn Smythe? We will settle all that next here on the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnik, Freddie B, and Matthew Owens of USRN joining us here on this special Sunday edition of the Neutral Zone where we're previewing the Stanley Cup Final between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. We are to that point in the program where we're going to be making our predictions. For those of you watching across YouTube and Twitter, feel free to drop us your predictions as well. Who's winning the series? How many games is it going to take? And who do you see winning the Conn Smythe for MVP? Before we get into them real quick, just some news and notes on the series too. We've got a little bit of the old guard versus new guard here. Carolina, of course, this is the first time in exactly 20 years since the Hurricanes have been in the Stanley Cup Final, since coming over from Hartford, the organization that was the Whalers at one point. For Vegas, meanwhile, not even a decade in already, their third appearance in the Stanley Cup Final. Of course, that first year, my gosh, that team. The entire rest of the league's general managers all deserve to be fired for allowing that to happen. That was bizarre, absurd, ridiculous. But then, we wouldn't have Alexander Ovechkin's Stanley Cup championship as a result of it. So I guess some good did come out of it. But It's gonna be so a little bit of old guard versus new guard with this series. There's Larry B hopping into the chat room with us, having some fun with it, as well as he's given us some predictions. He is taking Vegas in 6, but he's also instantly washing us out with soap for saying that. So we know how that goes, right? He's also a Raiders fan, so he always feels bad about just going with his predictions there. So Matthew, let's start with you. And yes, you're a Hurricanes fan, but you're also a very accomplished broadcaster. You know how to thread that needle. You've done that so many times. So how do you see this series going down?
Yeah, I think all that we've talked about to this point, I think maybe the biggest difference maker, I think, is going to be special teams and the power play abilities of Vegas versus Carolina's power play. That, as I said, it's got to be better. And if it doesn't show improvement, you're going to have tight games throughout in this series, and I think the power play determines a lot of them. I really do. Goaltenders stand tall. I don't think we're going to get a ton of goals in these games, in this series. So I think you're going to get your classic low-scoring, tight games down to the wire. One mistake makes all the difference. Larry said Vegas in 6. That's kind of the way I'm leaning. Vegas in 6. I think that's the direction that I've been leaning this whole time because the other thing, too, that we haven't mentioned, what atmospheres and the home ice advantage that both of these two teams have. Man, if you can just get one on the road, you're going to feel like you've won. That's worth 1.5 wins.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. That winning a game in Vegas is tough. They've got the whole presentation that they put on there before the game and everything like that. That's a hostile environment for any opposing team to play. Same with in Raleigh. They got great fans there as well, and they're going to be showing up in full force too, because this is the first time, like you said, Adam, in 20 years they finally got to this point. They've gotten that over that first hurdle, getting to the winning the Eastern Conference Final. Now this is where you got to play for keeps. I kind of, to me, the biggest matchup, obviously, the special teams. I want to see what Carolina's third line of Stahl and Martin Hook, and can they shut down the number one line with Eichel? That's the matchup that I want to see. Can Eichel's line be stopped or even contained to the point where you kind of keep them in check? The physicality, I lean a little bit more towards Vegas. The shot blocking between the two teams is kind of even. Carrier does a fantastic job blocking shots. One of the best forwards out there blocking shots for the Hurricanes. I hate leaning towards Vegas just because they are a bitter rival of the Kings. I've never liked Vegas. And I was on the bandwagon when Carolina had the bunch of jerks, and I wanted them to get back to that kind of glory that they had of that team. But now they're here in the conference final. I think Freddie Anderson has got to be the key factor here. Neither team has really had much adversity as far as having their backs up against the wall. Neither team played in elimination games leading up to this point. So that could be, how does a team react when you're down 3? If you're down 3-1 in a series or 3-2 in the series, how do you come back? And that's the kind of the matchups I like to see as well. Like, who's going to have the most, who's going to have the last firepower to win this thing? I'm going to go with Carolina in 6.
Ooh.
But I think it's more from my heart that I want them to win this series. And keep in mind, I mean, Rod Brind'Amour, he won the cup when Carolina won it as a player. I think he's only the 5th, or will be only like the 5th coach in NHL history who has won a cup as a player and as a coach for that same team. Happened a lot, in the 30s and 40s when there were only the original 6 teams. So I like that. I like Rod a lot. I like the guys that they've got. Give me Carolina in 6.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's for me putting a bow on this here. I have liked Carolina for a while. I am a little bit of a numbers nerd, an analytics geek. The Hurricanes have been analytic darlings for several years now with their heavy puck possession and their time in the zone and just the way they play. They haven't been able to get over the hump and get the job done, but I have admired them from afar as the way they play. I do feel that this is the right team. This is the right time, the right atmosphere. I like Carolina. I like Carolina so much, I'm actually willing to go Hurricanes in 5.
Ooh.
I don't mean that as smoke against Vegas. I think Vegas absolutely has earned its spot here in the Stanley Cup final, beating Utah, beating Anaheim, dismantling Colorado the way they did. By no means do I think that Vegas is an unworthy finalist in this final, but I think Carolina is just playing so well. This is a system they've had in place for so long. They've stuck with it. They know how to win with it. They know how to close out these games. They've been punched in the mouth. They've come back from it. I like Carolina, and I'm actually even going to be a little bold and say Hurricanes win it in 5. I especially if they go into Vegas and take one of those games, and game 5 they're up 3-1. I don't see how the Caniacs allow that series to go any further from that point. I think the atmosphere will be just so electrifying in a clinching scenario in game 5 that they'd have no choice but to win.
I like your picks better than I do mine.
But Matthew, thank you for joining us on the show here tonight. Really appreciate it. You'll be calling, you guys over at USRN will be having these games for the next couple of weeks.
Yes, very excited. I keep looking down. I keep looking down at my boards. Here's the proof that I do my homework. I actually do my homework. There is more to doing this than just sitting down and talking about hockey.
Yep.
So yeah, can't wait to get it started on Tuesday. It's going to be a roller coaster. I got hockey Tuesday, basketball Wednesday, hockey Thursday, basketball.
Matthew, how would somebody go about finding your broadcasts?
Yeah, on YouTube. We have moved to YouTube. We are a part of the 21st century now. It's unbelievable. Search us up, Ultimate Sports Media on YouTube. We're on tonight with NASCAR. If there's any NASCAR fans out there, we're on tonight.
You and Freddie can compare notes here as soon as we're done. I just know they go fast and turn in a circle. That's about that's the extent of it for me. No. But Matthew, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you joining us here today. Have some terrific calls. I know in your Hurricanes fan heart that you want it to be a quick and victorious series, but the broadcast union's got to be hoping to see a game 7, right?
Exactly right. That's
so,
exactly right.
So either way, you're going to wind up enjoying it. That's where we'll put it.
Exactly. That's a good way.
Give us a preview of a game 7 overtime game-winning goal.
Oh God. I don't know if anyone wants
no pressure.
To hear that.
No pressure.
I don't know. Goodness, I don't know how that would sound. That's a good question. I'll think about that and I'll come back. Everybody, I post all these moments from our broadcast on TikTok, and a lot of people on TikTok like, oh, you're just watching it back and rehearsing it. So here's what I'll do. I will rehearse a game 7 triple overtime call and I'll send it to you.
Right.
Oh, there we go. I like that.
Join us again as this series progresses. We'd love to have you on and get your take on where we are, a week from now or whatever. And if we're still playing, if it's a short series, we may be talking about what was the Stanley Cup final. But thank you, Matthew, for joining us. I'm looking forward to this. It sucks that we're at the end of the season, Adam. I mean, this has been such a tremendous season. We had, the youth movement that we talked about, which took over the beginning part. We've seen changing of the guards. We've seen so much going on in this league. And we finally got to the point now where we're talking about Stanley Cup final, Vegas, Carolina. It's going to be an outstanding series. And I can't wait to get this thing started on Tuesday night.
Yeah. The nice thing is one season's ending is always just another story's beginning. We did this whole show. I just realized we did this whole show. We haven't brought up the fact that the Stanley Cup is finally moving north out of Florida for the first time all decade long. Thank God it's getting away from the old people.
It took long enough. I can't believe I was going to say, I can't believe I forgot to mention this is I've buried the lead this whole time. I made a commitment. I made a declaration. The first year Carolina made the Eastern Conference Final under Rod Brindamore. That's 8 years ago now. made a declaration. If the Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup, I am getting a tattoo, which is I don't do needles. I do not do needles. So, but I'm going to stand by it. If they win the Stanley Cup, I'm getting a tattoo. And my dear sweet mother, who knows that I don't like needles, she will find a way to live stream it.
Oh,
If
okay.
I'm ever getting, because she will want the world to see what an absolute wimp I am when it comes to that. So be on the lookout.
There we go. There we go. Love it. Love it. Well, Matthew, thank you again so very much. Oh, Freddie.
Adam, you forgot Conn Smythe winners.
Oh, my goodness. We did. We forgot the Conn Smythe winners. Matthew. So, Matthew, you're a Hurricanes guy, but you picked Vegas. Who do you see from Vegas winning the Conn Smythe?
I think
maybe somebody from Carolina. It's possible.
That's true. If Vegas wins it, I think it lines up really well for Mitch Marner to win the Conn Smythe. I think that would be just kind of poetic.
It would be.
If Carolina wins it, I like your Freddie Anderson, and I would almost flip a coin between. Yeah, I think I would have to flip a coin between him and Taylor Hall.
Okay. I like Freddie Anderson. I don't know anybody else really, unless somebody goes out and scores, 7 or 8 goals in this cup final and just dominates. I really don't see another individual player on Carolina deserving of winning the Conn Smythe. I think it would have to be Freddie Anderson just for what he's done to get him to this point. And for Carolina, Mitchell Marner's a great choice. But I mean, Jack Eichel, I think he's the guy. I think he's, everything runs through him, to win a gold medal and to follow it up, winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, you talk about, poetic. That's a perfect scenario as well.
Yeah. It's for me, for Carolina, it is Freddie Anderson. If it were to be a skater, Taylor Hall would be the favorite coming in, but let's face it, a lot of times for the Conn Smythe, they say it's the entire playoffs, but really it's for the finals. And I think we're going to see somebody like a Sebastian Aho step up in this series and really kind of assert that front line. So I would not be surprised to see Aho win it. For Vegas, Freddie, I'm right there lined up with you. To me, this is the Jack Eichel Appreciation Award if Vegas does win it, for winning a gold medal with Team USA and then also winning the Stanley Cup in the same season. Wouldn't be the first guy to do that. Ken Anderson is somewhere smiling, thinking about that possibility. But that feels just the story writes itself then at that point for Vegas. All right, well, that's going to do it for our show here on this special Sunday afternoon edition of the Neutral Zone. We will be back at our regular time on Wednesday. With the schedule being Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, we've got it actually lined up where Wednesday night for this is going to be kind of nice. We'll get to kind of exhale after games 1 and games 4 and take a look at the series. So that'll be really nice. We've got other hockey things going on in the hockey world, though, to be talking about. We've got world championships that we'll be reviewing and going over. There was a big upset in the bronze medal game today that we'll be going back over and looking at. We'll have some more PWHL things as they'll have gone through the first several stages of their expansion this year. And the NHL draft is only right around the corner. So there's going to be plenty of things to dissect and digest here Wednesday night. We'll say 9:30 because that's probably what, knowing me, that's going to wind up how it ends up happening. Until then, Freddie, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I know you've got a busy day at the microphone coming up here. Dirt and Diamond coming up with Larry B later on this evening. Matthew, hold on, have fun. Just enjoy those calls, enjoy those broadcasts. They're 1 in a million when you get to do those. So enjoy those, have some fun. And everybody watching and listening across YouTube and Twitter, thank you so much for being here. Larry B was here today. Brian Francione hopped into the chat room. Christian Maley jumped in and said hello. Thank you to everybody that was watching live. We will see you right back here Wednesday night on IE Sports Radio for the Neutral Zone. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.
Is the only sound from the grace of the speed to the crushing weight. In the blink of an eye, we decide our fate. The ice is a battle where the iron reigns. We're breaking the surface and we're breaking chains. The silver cup, where the minor league hungry are stepping up. The college ice is burning in the freeze, and the women of the league bringing giants to their knees. The juniors, the legends, the global stage. We're writing the story on a frozen page. The lamp lights up. The speed and the power.